Welcome. The purpose of this video is to identify the key issues associated with the operational level case study May 2017. I am Gajendra Lianarachi, the case study specialist. So let's look at the company in detail. This company is a specialized sports car manufacturer founded by two people in the early 20th century. The basis is similar to the great British sports car Aston Martin, which was founded in 1913. So let's see what are the key issues that will be tested in the real exam. Issue number 1 is marketing. They will clearly test the current marketing strategy and a possible marketing plan for the future. The marketing director has not changed for the last 20 years. That means the same strategy and the same system and the same people continue. We need to change because the markets are changing. The question might test segmentation, positioning, and also the marketing mix. It can also look at how to evaluate a future marketing campaign. So that's issue number 1. Let's look at issue number 2. That is disruptive technology. What is disruptive technology? So this is any technology which can disturb the relationship between the user and the product, which can disturb the relationship between the user and the product. How will it happen? What is the option? Well, it's very simple. It is any technology. It could be a mobile phone, it could be a car. Now in this situation, it's a car. How can the technology disrupt the relationship? Simple. Look at old cars where you had to pull the lever and the gear, you're involved. The modern cars, you're not involved, just to press the button. And in the future, you don't need that, there'll be self-drive cars. So what are the implications of disruptive technology? The motivational issues, the psychological issues of the user, and the future trend, and also how the systems operate to provide disruptive technology. Because we can't do it, our suppliers, our networks, and our whole component manufacturers has to look into that. So that's issue number 2. Issue number 3 is simple, that is a traditional budgeting, which is based on P1. There's a budget given for 2017. Clearly, they will test flexible budget and how the variance operates. Clearly, variance is within the scope because certain models like Regent are not doing well. So they'll give you a periodic statement to evaluate the variance, the mix, and the sales variance, and also they might you to look at evaluating the budget for the self-drive car, which is 45 units at the moment. You might see a difference in the exam. Issue number 4 is working capital on F1 area. Well, working capital will be tested. Why? Because our cash position has improved from 138 million in 2015 to 168 million. What's the problem in that? Well, there's no problem. But the creditors have increased and also the overdraft has gone up from 11 million to 26 million. So this is the issue here. Your short-term borrowing has gone up and your cash position has gone up. So clearly there's an imbalance. You'll be asked to look at how to use the surplus cash and what is the exact requirement of working capital based on the working capital cycle and to calculate ratios. So that's issue number 4. Issue number 5 is on hydrogen car. Clearly, a lot of emphasis is on the case on how to produce the hydrogen car. They will test about the changes in the process and how the carbon emission works and also how much to invest and also the implications of the existing system and the value chain. You are getting a government grant on hydrogen car, but the process looks risky and the stakeholders might not like it. So that is issue number 5. Issue number 6 is on modern manufacturing. It is a handmade car, but the things are changing. We will discuss this in detail on branding later, but modern manufacturing issues such as throughput accounting, black fudge costing, just in time, and also world-class manufacturing will be tested because we are given a clear industry analysis and we know how the industry is changing and we know how different models, different technology influence our sales. Let's look at issue number 7. And that is capacity management. Clearly there's a problem in capacity management. We have one factory and that is a restriction. So they will test about bottlenecks, they will test about throughput, and also possibly linear programming to look at what's the best mix of manufacturing. Now this will be connected with modular manufacturing, because in the case study at the end they talk about modular manufacturing. It can be even connected with cellular manufacturing, how independent units can provide speed, efficiency and flexibility. Let's go to issue number 8, and that is product life cycle. Now this is E1. Definitely they will test product life cycle, because we had a tremendous success over the past. Very good. In the past we were successful, we had a successful life cycle, but suddenly it's dropping now for some of the products, and new products come in like the self-drive car, like the electric car and the hydrogen car. So product life cycle will be tested, strategies under each stage will be tested. Within this there's another model. What's the other model come to your mind? Good. BCG matrix. They will look at the portfolio, they will look at possible dog how to move out and look at new products and to improve the problem child. And also another model which can be tested with product life cycle is generic strategy. Michael Porter. Why generic strategy? Because we are in a niche market, and you know the risk of being in a niche market. Moment the niche is gone, you're dead. So that's the issue number 8. Let's look at issue number 9, and that is the supply chain management. Clearly we are given a lot of information regarding inbound logistics. Supply chain management will be tested. Why? We are traditional, we have never evaluated our suppliers strategically. They have a positive relationship, an informal relationship, and also DOM, one of our shareholders, also is a supplier. They supply the engine. So the supply chain looks a little bit weak and not strategic. So clearly they will look at how to generate a competitive advantage by improving the supply chain. Then the systems will be tested. Why? And that is issue number 10. What is systems? Because our systems were replaced 20 years ago. So we still have the computerized system which we used 20 years ago for our administration and for our accounting. This has to change. They will look at improvements such as ERP systems, MRP system, manufacturing resource plan, and also strategic enterprise management. In general, they will test an improvement and also a business process re-engineering, a complete radical shift to use information technology to improve the process and generate a competitive advantage. So keep that in your mind. The processes will be tested, possibly the problems of the current process and how to improve. Issue number 11 is the HR plan. This will be tested. Why? We are changing technology, we are looking at efficiency. The new shareholders, the majority, wants results. It's not like the family, they are not sleeping, they want the money, they want the return quickly. And we have traditional system, a handmade car. That means we have plenty of labor and a lot of overheads. It might shift to a modern form of manufacturing. A new HR plan, problems of HR cycle can be tested, and also motivational issues, redundancy and performance appraisal. Overall, you must think the current HR will shift, and that's issue number 11. The issue number 12 is environmental accounting, little bit of F1. So what are these issues? Because we are changing our system, the hydrogen car is different, it uses the excess power capacity available in the country mainland on eco-electricity. So we are using little bit of sunk, little bit of existing resources. So they will test on productivity, they will test on carbon emission, and they will ask you to look at the impact on financial reporting on environmental accounting. This is very important because we have traditional manufacturing and this must change so as the impact on the environment. And don't forget the government grant when you develop better strategy protecting the environment. Issue number 13 will be on stakeholders. This is very important. 30 years ago, new shareholders came in, DOM group, and then they shifted. Why? They sold their stake, and now we have 45% INV group, and then 15% for DOM group and 40% for the founding family. What is the issue here? The issue is the INV group has persuaded the founding family member to be the managing director. Well, that's an issue. You can't ask people to be managing directors. They should be happy with the post. So definitely the stakeholder map will be tested, the Mandela matrix will be tested, and this will be an issue. Let's look at issue number 14, and that is competition. Clearly, this is the future. We have a lot of information regarding the industry analysis. Different forms of competition will appear. What do you mean by different forms of competition? That is strategic alliance, and you can see a shift in competitive advantage. What do you mean by that? Competitive advantage is your ability. Who will challenge your ability? No. That's not the competitor who's going to challenge your ability. It is a software developer. They talk about two elements of the car, the hardware and the software. Who is hardware? The traditional manufacturers like Toyota, Ford and General Motors. Who is software? All the people like Intel, Microsoft who get into the car and completely violate what? Very good. The relationship between the user and the product. So now the modern trend is looking at what are the features in the car rather than asking what is the car. And also case study talks about how people require luxury features in a standard car. So comparison can come from suppliers, networks, alliance, and also from anybody, a software developer. Google can be your competitor. Right. Issue number 15 is all about cash flow management. We see a budget, but what is the issue? We are looking at improvement, we are looking at expenditure management. You see administrative expenditure contributing to 10% of your turnover. Now that's a big problem, because if you reduce it by 10%, let's say admin expenditure, you can increase the profit by a very significant amount. So think about that. We need to rationalize our expenditure in order to manage our cash flow, because our net profit is not even 1%, and that's a problem. We don't do a business to get a net profit less than 1%. We are in a business, we need to generate money for the shareholders. Maybe we were sleeping. Why? It was family owned. Now you need to wake up, and now we start running, which is important. Issue number 16 is about structure. You see a structure. What is the given structure? Functional structure. Sales, marketing, research. It's not going to work. Why? We already have 3 products. New product comes in. What is that? Already there, 45 units planned. Yes, that is a self-drive car. And then we are looking at electric car. We are looking at hydrogen car. The functional structure is too slow. Definitely, we need to look at a divisional structure. However, the issue with divisions is that each division might compete with one another. Region, Royal can compete with one another. That creates a problem. So maybe we might need to recommend matrix to strike a balance between the functional and the divisional. So structure need to change, and also you see informal relationships in this structure. You see the managing director's wife as the finance director. Well, what's the problem? Well, you might say that's okay. No, that's not okay. Why? Because she is a finance director and she is a CIMA member. So CIMA ethics and CIMA guidelines will be tested. Not only that, production director has a connection with the finance staff. You look at it, it's up to you to judge that. So there will be ethical issues on structure. Issue 17 is regulation. Clearly, the governments are going to push this, and Maryland government is already focusing on that. They offer 4 million worth of grants whoever develop a technology to reduce carbon emission. And not only that, if a person purchases a car, you can write off 50% of the value on environmental terms and on regulation. They give a lot of benefits, the government, and you can get a tax benefit. So they will test this. Not only they will test this, they will show you option 1. If you operate in the present system, what's your cash flow? Option 2, if you get the government grant, what is your cash flow? Right, I know what you're thinking. Payoff table. That's right. So you will look at payoff tables and you will look at options on regulation, and there'll be a lot of discussion, advantages, disadvantages, and the risk of not accepting government regulation. Issue number 18 is quality. Definitely this will be tested, because the quality expected by the modern customer and also the regulation and the stakeholders is what? Efficiency, less carbon emission. You know, the government has a target 2050 zero carbon emission. So like that, people need new systems. What is quality then? adjust according to the requirement. What do you mean by quality? Ability of a product or service to provide the intended benefit. Intended benefit. So if all the world is changing towards a specific benefit, efficiency, more features, and also less impact on environment, we must change. You will be asked to develop TQM. You will be asked the steps in developing TQM and also the cost of quality, which is important. Don't forget cost of quality. Issue 19 is market research. You will be tested on market research. Why? Because a lot of information is given based on the industry and the world. So you'll be asked to look at each segment. US market, 18 million is the projection. So you will look at how to enter that. Is it suited, or the European market, or a given new market in Asia? So you need to analyze the market, look at data collection, maybe look at research techniques, survey, and also a little bit of forecasting. You need to look at time series, how to look at these future issues, and how to change through additional information. Remember, the company didn't do anything. The case study clearly says they continued the same thing over the years, the same staff, the same relationship. Suppliers don't change, distributors won't change. It's very slow. Time to wake up. And that is the issue number 19 on market research. Final issue. Can anybody guess the final issue? Try to guess it. You're right. It's branding. It's all about the brand, isn't it? We came this far thanks to the brand. However, the case study clearly says, gives you a clue. The company did take it for granted. The brand was taken for granted, and they thought the brand will sell itself. That's the exact words in the case. They thought the brand will sell itself. What do you mean by that? It's like Rolls-Royce. You don't need to do any marketing. We all talk about Rolls-Royce. People who has never seen a Rolls-Royce, who has never driven a Rolls-Royce, talks how good it is. And that is called branding. The brand sells itself. But it stops at a point. Now the time has come to regenerate the brand values, define the brand based on the market segment. Some brands are operating effectively in some markets, have failed in other markets. You have plenty of examples like that. So we might be successful in Europe, but we might fail in Asia because our name might not be able to be pronounced properly. General Motors cars have failed because the pronunciation is different. So we need to understand how the brand will be improved and the brand values, and most importantly, you will see the company shifting from the traditional hand-built cars to automation. What is the impact? The brand value will be questioned. Your traditional consumer, your core consumer, prefers the hand-built, unique, one-of-a-kind, only for me model. My color, my car, my design, my life. Now that will be questioned with automation. So the question of brand stretching, that means how far you can stretch without affecting the system. Some brands have got affected because they try to do everything and try to be everybody's brand rather than positioning like this. Positioning, which is important. So these are the 20 issues that can be tested, that will be tested in your real exam. I've been teaching case study from the first ever CIMA case study in May 2001. This is my playground, this is my wicket. I bowl, I bat, I field, and I get the wicket, which is important. So basically, you need to understand all these key issues and see how these can be tested. If you need my help, you can send me an email because I have done the mock exams testing all these issues. It is important to understand these issues and test them in your own ground so that you will be able to develop better strategy in your real exam. Good luck with your exam. Thank you for listening.